Alright. Yeah, I think I would like to conclude this session. See, one thing I have learned. You make certain decision and you make sure they're somehow in line with what your heart tells you. So right now, yeah, sure, I could force myself to go for a run, right? I could force myself to go running now. But I know from experience that if I live in a place where there's nature around me, I go running. Maybe not every day, but a couple of times per week. I really enjoy running. I was living in South Africa and I went for runs in the middle of the day, 35 degrees Celsius, I went for runs. Just occasionally, right, if I felt like it. There was also a time, a couple of months back, I was living with somebody else and we were living really close to the forest. I mean like 200 meters, 300 meters. And real forest with like unpaved roads. I mean, that's a non plus ultra. But forest in general is already enough. And what did I do? I went for runs. And now I'm here and I know it would be a drag. I tried it already and I know it's not what I want. So why would I force myself to keep doing it just because I think it's healthy for me? Then I'd rather save that energy and work towards a future where I can actually do it. Because it's a conscious decision maybe to drink coffee, and it's a conscious decision to keep going for runs. I do realize that the amount of coffee I'm drinking here, if I'm out of this place, I know I won't need it anymore. Because it will be different. And of course there's always a transition. But right now I'm surrounded by coffee and sugar. And I have to work with the food that I've been given. And that's kind of a hard situation. Like, people don't really eat like I do. You know, there's no community here. That's just how it is. Everybody kind of does their own thing, right? So nobody's like, it's not that I'm pulling on a string or on a rope and other people come and join me to pull on it. No, it's like I pull on this side and they pull in all their own directions. And that's what I call a drag. And that's maybe also what the state does, right? I mean, I would like to go in a certain direction, and the state comes and says, "You're not allowed to do this." And then they want to fine me or what? Like, can't we just try to coexist? Because I'm kind of a free spirit. You're trying to force me. Like, why don't you keep forcing the people that want to be forced because they gave away their, self-responsibility to the state, and they're happy paying for that, but I like to be responsible for myself, which means I also like, to drive a car that is not signed in anywhere. I just want to drive it. So maybe I have to look into legal claims and laws and figure out how to wiggle myself out of it. But somehow I think, why does that have to be necessary? It seems an awful lot complicated. And maybe here once more we're working with transitions. So now I'm in that transition phase from, okay, I'm just constantly working, to I will have, a bit more freedom. So I'm just waiting, I'm biding my time, and that means some things are not the way that I would like them to be in the optimal phase. So I already have to work on, not getting depressed day in and day out, because I fucking hate the place I'm in, and I just feel like a mule constantly working. But then I realize, what am I working for? I'm working now that at a later stage maybe I have less work to do, right? So I'm trying to be smart about it. I'm trying to have faith and I'm trying to trust, because that's what my feeling tells me, and I just keep doing it. And there's also not a lot of resistance. So I'm just doing what I'm doing. And I also realize my value to my family, because if I wouldn't be here, my dad would just sit alone in the living room like an animal, that has the plague and that nobody wants to touch. But he needs that. He's traumatized himself. He falls into a depression and he has no means of getting out of it. Some people need other people to support them. And as much as I need this place to do what I'm doing right now, maybe my dad needs me. But that also means, right, I can't just be there all the time. Maybe it's just sometimes a friendly look. Because nobody's, that's also the other thing. Now my family is kind of, keeping him at a distance and wearing masks inside the house like he's contagious. Fucking yeah. And they're not even looking at him, because now they're ashamed that they are avoiding him. And he doesn't know how to act with them, so he doesn't look at them. So all I have to do is kind of keep the bridge, right? Make people realize that both sides still have feelings, right? There's my mom, she has feelings, she's afraid. I can understand that. Yes, it's selfish. Then my dad has feelings, but he's also selfish, right? So he could be fine on his own, but because he's dependent on other people, that's the kind of leeching I mean. But of course you can say it's his emotional trauma, but he also doesn't want to look at it. So in a way it's also his own fault. So then blaming other people that they don't spend time with him is just his own problem. So yeah, in a way I can understand both sides, but in the middle there's me. And instead of trying to oh please, don't hate each other, I just say, okay, does somebody want food? And then I sit down there for half an hour, eat with my dad, while my mom can do other stuff and not feel guilty about not spending time with my dad. And then my dad tells me all kinds of stories. And that's the other part, he just tells me stories. And the only part I have to play is I ask some questions, to help him continue talking. Because as soon as I try to say something, to bring something in from me into the conversation, he completely ignores it and just keeps telling his own stuff. And that's when I realize once more, okay, that's what I can do for him now. And on one weird kind of twisted level, you can call that some kind of intercourse. It's like, so you come together, you mingle, you rub it off on each other, and then you leave. You can have that with your wife, and then it's called sex or something. But you can also have it in a conversation, and we need that on all kinds of levels. But, right, I'm not a prostitute. So I tried that because my dad kind of pays me. He doesn't, but he provides me with certain things. And then I felt like I have to give back for that. But then I lost myself, because then he was basically paying me to be his bitch. And I said, that's not gonna happen anymore. So I go in there, I give him food. he eats that food, he talks to me while he's eating it, then I take his plate and I leave. And I don't come back. And then I come here and I do my own thing. Like I start a movie and I'm just alone in here. And I think, you know, I've worked for that. I've worked for it that I can be alone in my room and enjoy the time I have. I worked for that. I put in a lot of elbow grease to be okay on my own. And I'm not saying it's like, this is how I want it to be the rest of my life. No, it's okay. And I can enjoy it. Sometimes it's boring. But as soon as I get bored and I feel like I want to masturbate, what do? I just continue. Because I'm still not where I want to be, so there still something has to happen. And I feel at the moment it's recording videos. And maybe writing poems. Because I don't feel like writing books at the moment. I need to be in a different kind of mindset, and maybe I should just stop drinking coffee because I really feel like my brain's like empty. But maybe that's just, how it's supposed to be right now. So that's the thing, like, stop questioning so much and just keep going. Actually, question everything. Because I still question why I drink coffee. Because I'm still searching for a way out of it. But I know I'm going to get there at some point. So it's just about, to continue. And I now have that cold coffee standing there. And I'm already thinking about, when I end this video, I will go and put some sugary substance into it. And then drink it anyway. Fucking hell. Like, this is how needy I am already. Well, at least if I then say, afterwards I go outside, I could make other recordings in nature. But anyway, it's just about, figure it out. Do ask questions, but also have times where you just do, right? Where you don't think about it too much. It's to practice to get into the flow. And for that you have to leave your comfort zone. And that's gonna be the worst thing of all the things that you're ever trying to attempt. It's like being born all the time and you're gonna fucking hate it. But once you get the hang of it, it's actually quite enjoyable.